Uncareful enough to break the internal mechanism of your wing mirror. It's a short video showing you how to not just get the mirror glass out, but how to take the whole wing mirror off and disassemble it, clean it, and replace the broken parts within it. The first thing you need to do is slide back of this fitting. You may need to get a screwdriver or something wedged behind there and push that out. So that's slid out the way like that. You can just pull this handle forward like that, hopefully without losing the other piece. People make when trying to get this piece of chrome trim off is they try and get it off and end up breaking the clips. This is just held on by 3 clips, 1, 2, 3, and the easiest way to get it off is actually to take 2 of the screws out of this piece of trim here, and then that will just lean forward and allow you to just lever that back enough to pull that off. This has actually got a broken clip on it. You can get these from Mercedes. They're about £5.80 plus VAT. Make sure you're supporting the mirror with the other hand. You do not want that to fall on the ground and crack because they are very expensive. Off the car, this rubber housing should just lift off, revealing behind it the problem where we've sheared the metal. To get the wing mirror glass out, you don't actually have to take the whole wing mirror off the car. The back of the wing mirror glass has got these 2 bushings which basically slip into that prong there, and the front of the mirror has got this housing here which just pops on there. So to get the mirror out, all you need to do is pop that front fitting off with a pair of pliers like that, get some even leverage on, pop it off, and then the wing mirror should just slide out like that. Taking that off, we'll just clean that up and put somewhere safe so we don't end up breaking. You find that when you take the mirror out, it's just started to separate from the backing. You can just glue it back on without having to take the whole thing off. Like Gorilla Glue, which is an expanding glue, and therefore it will run into any cracks and expand, save you having to separate the 2 and re-glue it properly. When you clamp it, don't clamp it too hard, just enough for the 2 sides to squeeze together, and make sure you use something against the bottom of the clamp to protect the mirror. Although this spring looks pretty symmetrical, I'm going to unhook it from this end, and it's worth noting which way it hooks in. Do that off camera. You take that screw out, you can take this piece here off. That's actually got a spring on it, that screw. There's no washers, just a spring. To do this, I've just wedged a screwdriver in that gap there and just bent up enough to pull this out, hopefully. Now you need to take both sides out, and the way I did it was just with a little watchmaker's screwdriver down there and just tapped it with a hammer gently so as not to break anything. It transpires that the broken part has actually got a part number written on it, which is this part number here, 107 811 0341, and it also transpires that it's actually still available for Mercedes. It's part number 17 in this picture. Whether or not it's actually the thing we need is another question, but I've ordered it. It's about £47, takes 4 or 5 days to arrive, and then we'll have a look at it and see if we can fit it in now. And it actually looks like the right part. All we've got to do is remove that bit, put it back on there. These little chrome bits off, you'll find that the clips are snapped off, or that the chrome is flaking off. And if you do want to replace yours, you can still get them from Mercedes. They're £5.80 plus VAT, and the part number is 107 725 0711, I think that says. So they are still available from Mercedes. In fact, they're cheaper from Mercedes than they are from eBay or any other source. These rubbers also have a part number, but Mercedes tell me they're no longer available. But just in case you want to check from other sources, the part number is 107 811 0361. When it comes to putting the new piece on, remember that the screw holes face outwards, and that will go through the hole like that. But before you actually try to put it on, it's worth first putting this little brass piece on the other side. It's incredibly fiddly, so I'm just going to show you from the other side what has to happen. First of all, this goes with the rim side facing up, and those 2 legs actually tuck down. And if you can see that tuck down, and then you have to screw it together, but you have to do that while this bit is actually in there. I'm going to do it off camera, but it's incredibly fiddly. Make sure you get those 2 legs tucked down when you're doing it. Aligned, you just have to get the screw in, which is the hard bit. Everything aligned, use a little drop of oil or lithium grease just to lubricate that before you put the whole thing back together. Spring loaded, and to get this over you've got to somehow push these things in and clip that over, and they'll both spring into position, and it's much trickier than it sounds. Fitting and push that spring down and clip the first one in, so you end up with this arrangement. New bit actually just push fits into here. These little lips are bent up, and if you put a little bit of grease or oil on there, you'll find that that bit slips straight back in. Just before I put all the rubbers on back together, I'm just gonna touch this up with a little bit of rust encapsulator. You'll never see that bit, it'll be behind the rubbers, but just to stop it corroding in the future, we're just going to put a bit of Eastwood rust encapsulator on there. Coat will just stop that corroding in the future. Some of the dirt inside of here is caked on after 40 years and it's quite difficult to remove, so we're just going to use a electric drill with a brass wire wheel to get rid of that corrosion, and then possibly we're going to seal this with some kind of rust encapsulator to make sure the chrome doesn't pit on the other side. After you've washed them in warm soapy water, will come up like new, just with some turtle wax, black and flash. It just recondition the rubber, make it look black and shiny again. Putting the seal on, these bits go in first. Just double check once you put the seal on that you can see each one of those. You'd be amazed at how many people put this seal on and miss one of those clips out, put it on the other side, and then you end up with a water running down there and leaking into the light. So just double check that the seal is on okay before you put the rest of it back together. Before you screw this bit back onto the chrome casing, it's an idea to put the spring on first, as it's incredibly difficult to do that once you've screwed the casing on. You've got the spring in, time to screw the casing on. Remember to put the 2 washers in before you screw it all together. We're back in, just slide that in first, make sure you've put a little bit of 3-in-1 oil on there or something like that, and then it's good practice also just to put a dab of oil on there, make it easy to get out when next time you come to take it out. That clip fitting there is in front of that metal bracket. Make sure you put a little dab of lithium grease or some oil on there to make the mirror move more smoothly. Just the reverse of taking it off. First you have to thread this through. I'm going to do this off camera, line the holes up. Once you've screwed the mirror on, you need to put this piece of chrome trim on, and sometimes it's easier just to take out 2 of the screws from this piece of chrome and then just wedge that backwards with a screwdriver or something. I'm just going to do that off camera. So taking it off, slide it on a little bit to start off with, then whoops, put the second bit on like that, then slide it all the way with one hand. It's quite difficult holding a phone, and then that just slides in like that. And that is job done.